Send classification is a setting which clearly differentiate commercial and transactional sends. Because commercial sends have different requirements, transactional send have different requirements. Transactional send will not contain unsubscribe link. So while you are going to send an email, system should understand whether it is commercial or transactional. How it will understand? It will understand looking at send classification. How to create send classifications? Send classification, we have to create an email setup. In that means email studio settings within setup. Commercial and transactional, we have to differentiate. So we have to go to email studio setup. Once we went to email studio setup, once you go to setup, you have feature settings on the left, and you are discussing about email studio settings. So we will expand this email studio setting. Once we click on email studio settings, we have send classification option available here. Send classification will help you communicate to system whether you are going to send commercial or transactional email. We will click on create option. Once we click on create option, you have to give the name B36 send classification. Once you have given the name, you have a can spam classification option here. This can spam classification has two sub options called commercial and transactional. This setting would help system understand whether you are going to send commercial or transactional email. Why system should understand this? Because system applies checks on can spam law. When you have selected commercial, then system will check if you have unsubscribe link in your email or not. If you have physical mailing address link in your email or not. When you select transactional, then it will check. It should not have any unsubscribe link. If you mistakenly kept that link or removed that link in commercial sends, it won't allow you to send emails. So defining send classification is very important so that system understands whether you are going to send commercial or transactional, and based on the category of email, it applies checks. Now you will be able to see this message listed here, which clearly tells what all checks are applied on commercial and what all checks are applied on transactional. It says that commercial and transactional have legal meanings under US Federal Can Spam Act. A commercial email message is any electronic mail message, the primary purpose of which is commercial advertisement or promotion of a product or service. Because commercial email you use to promote something, promote products or service. So it clearly tells that the purpose of commercial email is to promote a product or service. Commercial messages must include a mechanism to unsubscribe the physical mailing address of the sender and a notice of advertisement. For commercial messages, we check the presence of unsubscribe link. So if you define commercial here, then what would be checked? Whether your email has unsubscribe link or not. It is a good check. Sometime in hurry, you have to deploy an email. You can miss some of the can spam laws, but system won't miss. System understand you are sending commercial email. It will stop that send. Say, no, you cannot send. Your unsubscribe link is missing. That is an advantage of defining send classification. Whereas transactional messages per can spam law are primary emails that facilitate, complete or confirm a transaction that recipient has previously agreed to enter into with the sender. That means while you are sending a transactional communication, recipient already knows that he is going to receive an email. Commercial transaction, commercial SMS messages won't, have that visibility in recipient's eyes. But transactional recipient has already agreed. Transactional messages should have the subject line which should be transactional in nature and non-promotional. And for transactional messages, system do not check the presence of unsubscribe. So it is important for you to define a can spam classification to differentiate between a commercial and a transactional emails. Once we have defined the can spam classification, if you go below, you have sender profile and delivery profile. Once you go below, you have sender profile and delivery profile. What is sender profile? First can spam law. The from name and from email should be from an authenticated sender. So you want to send an email, you should have a from name and from email created. Where you will create? In sender profile you will create. Sender profile is a required element. So to complete a send classification configuration, we must define whether it is commercial or transactional, but we also have to define whether what should be the from name and from email address you will be going to send emails. So to create a sender profile, we again have to go to setup. In setup, we have seen send classifications. We have sender profile and delivery profile as well. So sender profile we are going to create now, which is an important part of our send classification. We click on sender profile. Once we click on sender profile, you can click on create sender profile. Once you click on create sender profile, we can write here B36 sender profile. Once we write B36 sender profile, we have to click on this use specified information where you can define from name and from email. So suppose you are sending email from Amazon. Then your from name should be reflecting your company name. Like in that case, it was Pepperfry, Orange, HRM. These are the company names. In from name, you have to define the company name. And from email should be the email address you will use to send communications, like marketing@amazon.com. If you don't use the domain which you are claiming in the name, from name, then clearly subscribers would understand that you are faking, you are not a legitimate sender. So the from name and from email should reflect the company you are sending. Once you have defined the from email, you have to click on verify as well. One time link would be sent to your email, which you have to verify. And then only your sender profile would be verified. Otherwise, anybody can claim they are Amazon and start sending emails. So verification of sender profile is important. But we don't own Amazon and we don't own any other company as well. And we are doing a testing on Marketing Cloud. We are just studying this. So you can use your own personal address here and click on verify. But this should only be done for testing purpose. Once you write the email address, you see it is auto verified. Why it is auto verified? Because I have been using this platform from 2 years now. Every batch I create a sender profile. One time I have verified, every next time it would be auto verified. So you might not see the same behavior. You might click on verify and a verification link would be delivered to your inbox, which you have to manually click and verify. But once you verify, then whatever sender profile with the same email address you create in future, it would be auto verified. So now we have created a sender profile which we will be using to send emails. The first can spam law is satisfied. We will click on save option. The sender profile is created and saved. That we can go and include in the send classification. Send classification we started to create. Commercial or transactional we chose. And then we have to define the sender profile. The sender profile is created after we have created send classification. So we will create a new send classification. Click on create option again. Once you click on create option, you have to define the name of the send classification. Select commercial, transactional, and then go to sender profile. Select the name of the sender profile. Select the name of the sender profile which you have created. B36 sender profile we have created. Now, the other two laws of can spam, it should contain unsubscribe link, it should contain physical mailing address. All these things can be created in delivery profile, which is also a required element inside the send classification. To create a delivery profile, we again have to go to setup and then go to email studio features and then click on delivery profile. Once we have clicked the delivery profile, you have create button which you can click on create. Once you have clicked on create option, here you can select write the delivery profile. Once we have written the name of our delivery profile contains three things: IP address, header, and footer. Three important configurations which you have to define. What is IP address? IP address is the address which is given to your marketing cloud, which is used to send communications. Whenever you purchase a new marketing cloud account, you will get a shared IP. You will get a shared IP. Very important thing. What is shared IP? Marketing cloud is a cloud which follows tenant-based architecture. Tenants have shared memories. You see, this marketing cloud is based on a tenant S8. That means stack 8. So there will be multiple accounts on stack 8 sharing your IP addresses. Whenever you purchase marketing cloud gives you a default IP which is shared IP with other tenants. That IP has some restrictions. The first restriction it has is you cannot send more than 250,000 emails in a month. If you are using shared IP of Salesforce, you cannot send more than 250,000 emails if you are using shared IP of Salesforce. If you are a multinational company, definitely 250,000 limit is very less. In a single city in India, you get this much population, and that is a monthly limit. One time you will send email to 250,000, then entire month you cannot send any email. You might have population in millions and billions, millions population in China, millions in Russia, millions in US. You cannot use your shared IP provided by Salesforce. The second drawback of that IP is that is a shared IP. You might be Amazon, but other person or other company who is sharing your IP might be a hacker or a gambler or a fraud. His content of email is entirely different from what you are sending. You are sending genuine emails, but he is doing fraud with customers. Then customers will try to spam his emails. There will be a lot of spam complaints for his communication. But as he is using a shared IP which is shared with you, his communications would impact your reputation as well, because both are sharing same IP. So when you are using an account default IP, which is a shared IP in Marketing Cloud, you don't have control on type of sends. You have control on your sends only. But you have to understand that your IP is shared with other tenants as well. You can't control their activity. And due to their activity, your reputation would be hampered. So that is a drawback. So two drawbacks of shared IP. One is it has a 250,000 limit, and it has a it do not have control, or you do not have control on other people activity who are sharing your IP. So Salesforce Marketing Cloud has given option to maintain a private IP address as well. You have to purchase the private IP address and share it to Salesforce. They will include here in this drop down from the back end. You can't include from your end. You have to tell to Salesforce that this is my private IP. Please include it into my account. This private IP will not have any limit of 250,000 cents. That is dedicated only to you, to your company. You can send millions of emails from that private IP. Plus, you are sole responsible for its reputation. The IP is not shared with other stacks, other tenants. So whatever, communication you deliver to your customers, that communications would only be considered to build its reputation. You are sole responsible of the IP reputation, not other tenants. So this will be asked in your interview. What are the types of IPs in Marketing Cloud? Shared IP and dedicated IP. What is shared IP? The IP which is account default IP shared by Salesforce wherever you get account. That default IP is shared with other tenants on the stack. The drawbacks of shared IPs are it has 250,000 limit every month, and you cannot control others account actions which are sharing this IP. So due to their malpractices, your reputation might get impacted. The other IP option is private IP, where you can provide your own IP address. You are sole responsible for its reputation. It will not be shared to anybody. So this is the first component in delivery profile, which we have discussed just now. The second component of delivery profile is header. Header means often you will see in emails, you have a tagline called view this email as a web page. Often in the emails, you will see that view this email as a web page. If I go to spam folder, or if I open any email, many people are sending view this email as a web page. Many companies don't use that, but let me find if I can get any option here. See, having trouble viewing this email, view this email in your browser. You click and the email would be loaded in your browser. So this is the header which generally gets included if you enable that setting. If you make header as account default, then view email as a web page URL would be embedded inside the header of the email. The other component of the delivery profile is footer. Now, footer is very important thing because it contains physical mailing address, it contains unsubscribe link, it contains privacy policy of your email, it contains a lot of things. If you open any email and you go to footer, this entire is the footer. They have social media icons, they have contact us button, get our app, terms and condition link, unsubscribe link. They should be having a physical mailing address as well. A lot of information would be available inside the email footer. Salesforce has provided default header and footer, which is known as account default header and footer, which you can change, customize as per your design. This account default is selected. You can click on none if you don't want to use account default header and footer. But if you make it none, then you have to define header and footer inside your email when you develop. But Salesforce Marketing Cloud has provided account default header and footer, which is CAN-SPAM compliant. Where you can see account default header and footer? In the company setting. In the setup, let's try to duplicate this tab. In the setup, you have an option called company setting. Under company setting, you have an option called account setting. In that account setting, you will see what are the default header and footer Salesforce has provided. If you want to change that design, you can do it. So you see company setting. Under company setting, you have account setting. Once you click on account setting, you will see an option of HTML header and footer. Here your default header and footer are coded based on Salesforce design, standard design. You can customize it clicking on edit option. Once you click on edit option, you have HTML header and footer system default. You can click on custom, or you can here click on custom, insert recommended footer. This is the default footer. You can click on preview option and you see this is how the Salesforce footer looks, which contains privacy policy, physical mailing address like business name, address, city, state, postal code, country, unsubscribe link, all these important information. If you want to customize it, you can code your own header and footer within that HTML dialog box. And that would be reflected as account default in the delivery profile. You want to code your own HTML footer, you can code, or anything here you can do. And you can click on save. But if you want to use system header and footer, keep it system default. If you want to see what is system default header and footer, you can click on insert recommended footer and click on preview. This is your system default footer header. So all these informations are available in delivery profile. Which IP you want to select, whether you want to go with account default header and footer or no, that you have to do and click on save option. Once you click on save option, that would be your account default delivery profile. The delivery profile is not created. I will recreate it. Click on create option. And click on save option. Once you click on save, your delivery profile is created. Now this delivery profile also you can include in this send classification. Send classification contains CAN-SPAM classification. You have to tell whether it is commercial or transactional. Then it asks for sender profile, which is nothing but your from name and from email. And then it contains delivery profile that contains your IP address, header and footer. As we have created delivery profile, after we create sender profile, send classification. So we will click on cancel and we will recreate it. Here we will define B36 send classification. Then sender profile, we will go and select as our sender profile, which is B36 sender profile. And then delivery profile also B36 delivery profile. B36 delivery profile. All these are the required components of send classification. Once it is created, we will click on save. So whenever we are going to send an email, we will use a send classification, which will clearly tell system which from name, from email you are going to use, what should be your IP address of send, what should be your header, what should be your footer, and more important, whether it is commercial or transactional send. This delivery profile we will use at the time we are going to send emails out of Marketing Cloud. But before that, we have to build emails. That would be our next topic. So guys, before building email, we have understood the compliance, that is CAN-SPAM law. Then we understood what is send classification, which is nothing but a CAN-SPAM classification. You tell whether it is a commercial or transactional, and send classification contains two components, which is sender profile, nothing but from name and from email, and your delivery profile, which tells which IP address you are going to use, whether it is shared IP or a dedicated IP, which header you are going to use, whether you are going to use header or not. Header mostly contains view as a web page URL, and then it contains footer, what should be in the footer, because we have understood that if your email is commercial and is not containing unsubscribe link in the footer, it won't send the email. CAN-SPAM law clearly checks unsubscribe link for the commercial sends. So all these things would be checked. You have to define everything into a delivery profile. And then you have to save the send classification. That would be a complete configuration to send an email. The next thing we have to see is types of email. We have seen commercial email and transactional email. Both type of emails have different method to send. Commercial emails brand have thought to initiate. So those will be user initiated sends. Important question. What are the types of email sends in Marketing Cloud? When you are going to send commercial emails, that means you have to manually initiate them. The user has to initiate. That type of email would be user initiated. But there are other type of emails which are triggered emails. You don't have time to manually initiate that email. That should be automatically sent. You have requested a one-time passcode. Somebody would not draft that email for you and send, okay, your passcode is 68512. It is automatically delivered to you within 2 seconds. Millions of people can request that one-time passcode in a single minute. It is impossible to draft that email and send manually using user-initiated send. For that, we would use triggered sends. Triggered sends are automated, which works with APIs. That component we will see later. While we are working with automation journey builder, then we will see how to work with APIs. So user initiated sends are the sends which we deliver manually. Triggered sends are the sends which are triggered automatically within fraction of seconds. So guys, tomorrow we will see how to build emails in Marketing Cloud. Two types of emails, data-driven and dynamic emails. We have already created a data model where we have purchase, transaction, product data stored. Now those data we have to retrieve and store inside an invoice, which we are going to build in a form of email.